An airstrike on a prison in northern Yemen has killed at least 60 people and wounded 200 more. The violence marked an especially deadly day in the 7-year war, leaving bystanders searching through rubble with their bare hands to rescue those trapped in the detention center in Sanaa. Overwhelmed nearby hospitals said they had been forced to turn away some of the injured. The attack comes 5 days after the Houthis claimed a drone and missile attack on Abu Dhabi that killed 3 people. Further south, 3 children were killed as they were playing football when an airstrike hit a telecommunications facility in the rebel-held port city of Hodeidah, Save the Children aid agency said. Photos of civilians killed in residential areas are circulating on social media. The UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said in a statement that the escalation needs to stop. What is the United States doing? To discuss this with us is Hassan El-Tayyab. Hassan is the FCNL's Legislative Director for Middle East Policy. FCNL is the Friends Committee on National Legislation. Welcome, Hassan.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, Hassan, can you tell us what is the U.S. military's role in this recent airstrikes? We hear that on Monday, the United States helped the UAE thwart a missile attack by rebels in Yemen on an air base where there are about 2,000 American personnel, and the U.S. and Emirati officials were responding to this. So could you tell us what you're seeing?
Well, again, thank you so much for having me on. This is a really urgent matter. I mean, Yemen is home to one of the world's worst humanitarian crises on the planet. 16 million people pushed to the edge of famine. And all of this is being done with U.S. support for the Saudi-led coalition and their airstrikes over Yemen. We continue, despite the Biden administration's Yemen policy announcement. We're about to come up to the 1-year anniversary on that of February 4. He announced an end to U.S. support for offensive operations. And unfortunately, we've since learned that important aspects of U.S. complicity remain, including spare parts and maintenance for Saudi warplanes. And this is critical for the daily operations of these warplanes, and also intelligence sharing for Saudi operations in Yemen. So these are really core aspects that are propping up the Saudi-led war effort. There's also, new information that we may have, been supporting the United Arab Emirates and their air defense system, further complicating and entangling the United States in this war in Yemen. And it's just devastating. We're approaching the 7th year anniversary of this conflict in March 25th of this year. And this is 7 years of U.S.-enabled destruction. And right now, with a lack of leadership and a failed Yemen policy by the administration, there are many in Congress that are looking at steps, including introducing a new Yemen War Powers resolution to terminate this ongoing complicity in the war and blockade before more Yemenis are plunged into famine.
I see Yemeni activists on social media trying to process what is happening. Now, on Friday, there was a internet blackout. Saudi Arabia, the U.S., and the UAE disabled and the entire country's internet service. So can you tell us how news agencies responded to this? We didn't see coverage all the way till last night.
I mean, it's devastating that the United Arab Emirates and the Saudi-led coalition would disable Yemen's internet. And, as they're committing these mass atrocities on the people through these, the airstrike on the detention facility, you mentioned the airstrike on the children playing football. But, this is just the latest escalation of 7 years of war and devastation. Now, I'm an activist here in the United States, and I have a responsibility to try to make sure that my government is not participating in these atrocities. It's not going to magically end the war, but I think it's going to go a long way in getting Saudi to stop these airstrikes on civilian targets, and also, create some critical leverage to end the blockade. And we haven't even discussed that, but that's having a massive impact on the fuel entering the country. That's making it harder to power hospitals. It's making it harder to deliver food. It's contributing to the hunger crisis. And we're also seeing the blockade of Sanaa airport, and that's preventing tens of thousands of critically ill Yemenis from getting the treatment abroad that they need to survive. And also, coupled together, the blockade of Sanaa airport and the Red Sea ports is leading to the prices of critical medicines doubling. So you've got a cascade of issues. And right now, we need action. We don't need more words. We don't need more statements. We need legislation to try to hold the Saudi-led coalition accountable for their, horrible crimes against humanity. Now, this does not absolve Ansar Allah, aka the Houthis, from violations, but I really see what the Saudis are doing as a core driving factor in the conflict. And that's the part of this that we have leverage over here in the United States. And I think we need to use that leverage with urgency.
So can we talk a little bit about Saudi coalition's bombing surging in Yemen following the end of the UN war crimes investigation in October? The mandate for Yemen's only accountability mechanism, the group of eminent experts, was not renewed. And then shortly after that, strikes from the coalition increased by 43%. So I'd like to hear your commentary on that.
Without real accountability through this UN mechanism, but also through the United States, working to terminate this ongoing participation, we're just going to see more behavior like this. And again, I think it's escalating right now, but I just want to keep drawing attention that there were several airstrikes on Sanaa airport already this year. Airstrikes that blocked UN aid vessels from from reaching Yemen and getting humanitarian assistance to Yemenis around the country. And I see this again, this lack of accountability, this blank check support. The United States recently announced that we were going to also, after we disabled this accountability mechanism for the UN, or allowed that to happen, we also saw the Biden administration greenlight $650 million in new weapons sales. So we have a real problem of leadership here. We have a failed Yemen policy by the Biden administration. And I can't stress enough right now, if we're not going to see leadership with the White House, taking control of this situation by ending our participation, being a productive partner in peace talks, that we need to see Congress step in here and actually get some accountability for once. There are members right now, they're on social media, they've been talking about this latest airstrike and saying that Congress needs to step in and end U.S. complicity. We have a good reason to believe that there are the votes out there to make that happen. We just saw the House of Representatives voted on the National Defense Authorization Act in September of this year. They voted with a bipartisan majority to end intel sharing, logistical support, spare parts, and maintenance, completely cutting off the Saudi-led coalition. And so the votes are there. So Congress, what they got to do is introduce a new Yemen War Powers resolution and kind of put this debate, this question of ongoing complicity on the House floor, and have a vote and debate on this particular issue. And I think it's going to take all of us, if people are out there listening, now is the time to act with urgency. We've been at this for 7 years, but I understand people out there, must be just so devastated, as am I, and heartbroken over this latest round of violence. But we need to turn that into action, and getting Congress to, terminate this support is really our, best and only chance to try to do our part to ratchet down these escalating tensions.
Thank you, Hassan, for that. Definitely action is needed at this point. Can you also comment on Raytheon's complicity? Like, there were parts of Raytheon equipment and aircrafts found in after these airstrikes. Now, Raytheon is an American company. And what can Americans do? I mean, this is Raytheon funds many think tanks in Washington, D.C. that help frame American policy in Yemen. So that leaves us in a really tight spot. What do you suggest that people can do to hold American companies that are complicit in this war?
Well, there are robust divestment campaigns that are happening all over. Raytheon, they're headquartered in Massachusetts. I know there's an active anti-Raytheon war campaign going on there. So I would plug in with the existing movements that are happening. Make sure that you're not invested in Raytheon. Make sure that your pension's not invested in Raytheon. Make sure that your university or your local government or your local companies, make sure that people understand that while, this is a really critical issue and we need to take action. But I also want to just stress is that the Yemen War Powers Resolution, this is the vehicle, the most urgent and pressing thing that we can do right now is get our lawmakers, our U.S. representatives in the House and Senate to kind of take this support because, we have a lot of leverage here. I'm assuming that they're going to be voting on this potentially within the next month or two. So I think I'd really stress, this urgent moment of this War Powers Resolution on the House floor as people are doing this longer term unwinding of the military industrial complex and its stranglehold over so many aspects of our society that are problematic.
Thank you, Hassan, for your insight. And thank you for being here today.
I am just so honored to be here and speaking to you and, getting this message out to your audience. Folks, if they want to take action, they can go to FCNL.org. We have, a toolkit there, ready to go. People can write their lawmakers and get their voices heard. And, I look forward to continuing this conversation. Hopefully we'll have better news to report next time.